I would love to appreciate the organizers for finding me worthy to be having this conversation. I really appreciate it, and I hope to give my best. I'll definitely try my I'll try in all my efforts to make sure I walk you guys through my experience as a designer and get to answer a lot of questions as well. I love to answer questions, so please feel free to throw in your questions. Yeah, I did prepare a slide to at least to help me guide what I'll be talking through. It's nothing too fancy. In fact, it is not fancy at all. So I am not the type to really much rely on slides because I don't like to get too scripted when I share my experience, but I'll do my best. All right, so the topic is pretty okay. So yeah, let me walk you through who I am. For those who don't know, my name is Ozenua Oluwatobi. I am a product designer. Unlike what Tope said, all that stuff is all high level jargons, but in simple terms, I love to design. Design is my passion. I currently work out Outliant as a creative designer. And I say creative designer because I have had the opportunity to work around different kind of projects, from hardware projects to software, fintech, extended reality, etc. Design is my passion. Basically, I think that covers like a lot for me. Design is just my passion. I love to design. All right, so the topic says, or the topic is the product UI UX designers ideal pathway. And I am gonna assume that, okay, yeah. So to get the right category of people in the call today, if you are just beginning your design journey, can I see your hands up? You are just starting out as a designer between the last 1 to 3 months, particularly. You spent no more than 3 months so far. Okay, I see nobody. Oh, I see one person. Interesting. So between 3 to 6 months, you started designing between 3 to 6 months. Okay, now I see Jesuto Milayo. I have met Jesuto Milayo several times, so I'm happy to see you again, Chief. All right, so I have 2 people. Okay, well, how about 1 year? You've been designing for about 1 year. 1 year so far. Good. That means that a lot of us have actually been designing for a long time. I have my bosses here then. All right. So to make this really interesting, I've been designing as a product designer for 3 years now. I actually started designing professionally late 2019, September 2019, basically. And it's been, okay, for me, designing, I figured out design pretty easy. And that has to be because of my background. I previously was a graphic designer, and then I ventured into software development. So I had like very good background starting out. But between then and now, I've had the privilege to mentor a lot of people and set a lot of people on track so well that I see the challenges that many people face growing as designers. And I hope in the course of this call, I'll be able to like answer questions that many of you may have and get to clear whatever hurdle you might have been facing as a creative or as a designer. Being a product designer or being a UI UX designer isn't really so difficult. And although I know there's a lot of confusion for people who are yet to start, right? Many people try to understand a lot of things while starting out, and then they do find it pretty difficult. But from my own perspective, or from how I attend to new challenges, I figured out that most of these things are not so difficult. Now I'm going to give an example. Yeah, I recently, people have been reaching out to me to mentor them, or to at least to set them on the right track for, to become product designers. And the question I do ask is, over the time you decided to learn design, and now what are the unique things? What are the things you've done? It doesn't even have to be unique, but what are the things you've particularly done? What actions have you taken? And 90% of the time, the answer I hear is, I really don't know much. I've not done much because I don't know what to do. And when I hear such, it actually breaks my heart, because as much as it feels like you looking for someone to guide you is an action, it really isn't when you've not done anything aside that, right? So I get to see a lot of people who do not take necessary actions because they feel like they don't know anything, and because of that they are not eligible to make actions. A good example of what you could do is go on YouTube, search for the word product design or UI UX design, and consume as many information as you can. Now, these could get very, very misleading and confusing, especially when you are not so sure of what exactly to listen to. But in the process of watching many videos and listening, like paying good attention, you will begin to find words that repeat itself. You begin to find statements that repeat themselves. You begin to find action pointers that keep repeating itself. And this becomes the building block for your learning, right? It becomes a building block for your learning. I particularly did that exact same thing, especially when I was learning. When I started learning Blender as a designer, I picked up Blender last year, and I saw one tutorial. At first, it made no sense. I went back to it, watched it again. By the time I was watching for the third time, I knew what the instructor was going to say, and by so doing, I had gathered a lot of knowledge about the tool and about the tutorial itself, that when I eventually picked up Blender, I knew exactly what to do. Now, while I was watching the tutorial for the first and second time, I was still sure I don't know anything on Blender. But by the time I did for the third time, I knew a lot. I knew what to do already. I knew what information was coming up. I knew what exactly was going to do. And it made learning Blender very simple. Instead of me waiting for someone or a friend or a colleague to sit me down and walk me through this process, I took that action. Now, it does not mean that you can be independent of people, right? There is always that balance. And later in this call, we'll definitely talk about that balance, but it doesn't mean you are independent of people. You would definitely need people to help you at different points in time, but you are more important in that equation of getting started. You are very much important in that equation of getting started. And basically, that's what I wanted to emphasize. Right. All right. So, good. How to learn fast. This has to be one of my favorite topics to talk about. And that is because I believe for a fact that I have mastered how to learn. Now, of course, I only say that because for every single skill I have chosen to learn or determined to learn, I learn them very quickly, right? So I believe I have at least hacked how to learn. And as you can see on the footer, I say it's all about knowing you. It's all about knowing how you learn. And in this call, I'll be making it pretty clear that there are actually no room for excuses. I know some of you will be like, I am not so good learning on my own. I like it when someone reads to me before I can understand, etc., etc. But then, it's the world we live in. That one person that is good enough to teach you definitely would not have the time to teach you, because they are most likely getting their life sorted out, or they are working to get paid, and it leaves you without a choice. So how do you learn fast? How do you learn comfortably at your pace and learn fast? You're learning accurately and you're learning fast. How do you learn fast? My first pointer would be, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself. A good case for this would be, again, Blender. How many of you here have tried to learn Blender at any point in time? You've attempted to learn Blender. I know Blender is like one of the most difficult software for creators to learn. Who agrees with me on that? Okay, so I see 1, 2 people. I see 2 people raising up their hands. So you guys have attempted to learn Blender. Would you agree with me You could use a thumbs up to agree. Would you agree with me when I say Blender has to be one of the most difficult tools to learn on your own? Who agrees with me on that? Good. Thank you. Now, okay, so I think I've shown off my bragging ability earlier. So I'll say again. It took me exactly 1 month to learn Blender, and I started creating Blender assets for the company I work with all within a month. Within the same month, I think for those who follow me, you would know very well some of the things I've done on Blender. Within the same month, I learned a lot about 3D fashion, and I was rolling in different 3D fashion designs. Right in the same month, I think I got a gig where I had to like create an NFT project on that as well. And I learned all of this within a month. And truth be told, I am even telling you right now that truth be told, Blender has to be one of the most difficult tools I've actually ever picked up to learn. Now, how do you learn that kind of tool in a month and know you are learning accurately? Again, do not overwhelm yourself. A lot of the time, people try to overestimate their abilities when picking up new tools. I have been in that. In fact, I, for one, I am a good example of such mistakes. Because I believe I can learn very fast, I tend to overwhelm myself a lot. Recently, I picked up Framer and I tried learning Framer. On my first attempt, I figured it out very quickly because, of course, it's pretty similar to XD and Figma. So I picked it up very quickly. But right now, I am unable to continue learning because I am learning very slowly. And the reason is because I am trying to do so many technical animations. I'm trying to do so many technical animations on Framer, and I'm not figuring it out because I'm definitely overwhelming myself with the things I want to achieve. And that remains a standing problem. A good example, you want to start design, or you've been trying to learn design and become very good at it, and you've not studied the basics because you feel the basics is just too little to take you to where you want to be. And what I mean is, a good example, many times for my mentees, I tend to tell them to go read material design. And if you hear and you know what material design is, please signify you know what material design is. Anyone? Basically, I should see everybody's hands up. Everybody's hand should be up, normal. You know what material design is, or you've heard of it before. Now here we go, know the original designer. You know what material design is, or you've heard it before. So out of 18 people in the call, 5 have their hands raised up. Now, those are like the true designers. Those are the OG designers. But if you've not heard of it, or you've not seen it, or you've not used it before, I'm sorry. This call is definitely for you. Apologies. All right. So, yeah, thank you very much. Now, material design is a design guideline. Basically, for anybody who is going to venture into design and do design very well, meaning you are going to be a designer, UI UX designer, and you're going to design accurately, you must have consumed the information of material design. Now, you don't have to use it every day, but you have to be knowledgeable about the information on material design. And the reason is this: Google invented material design. I think it's safe to say invented, right? Google wrote material design. Now, Google is in charge of every updates that go on Android. Now, this information may not be relevant now, but as of then, it was 100% relevant. Google is in charge of every updates that run on Android. And many design standards are built on Android. iOS only works on Apple. Every other phone relies on Android. Now, if Google, who is in charge of every design updates that run on Android, wrote material design, it simply means for you to design accurately on that device, you must understand the concept of how to design on that device. Now, imagine designing for a 3D printer. I believe none of you have seen a 3D printer, or if any of you have seen a 3D printer, you've probably not used one before. Now imagine being called up to design for a 3D printer. I'm pretty sure you don't even know what to do. Now, designing UI, designing for mobile or designing for web without understanding how to design for web is definitely the wrong thing to do. Now, I do tell my mentees to go practice or to go learn, read up whatever it's on material design first, understand a good number of instructions and understand a lot of instructions, understand the basics, understand the guidelines before venturing into anything beyond that. Now, the feedback I get from them is usually, oh, material design, it's too long. There is no UI design to practice on material design. I don't have, like, how can I design a app just reading on material design? You know, those are the kind of feedback I get. And, you know, it's funny how that they give that feedback without understanding the purpose of it itself, right? Every design you work on, everything you work on, every kind of UI design you work on, you are employing the basics. You are employing spacing. You are employing the use of colors. You are employing the use of lines, the use of grids, the use of typography. And you designing without knowing what rules guide this thing is definitely not a good way to start. So on the long run, many people get to design without even understanding what they are doing. And when I get the chance to review people's work, I just see so many errors, and I'm like, you need to go back to the basics. You need to understand how types work. You need to understand how fonts work. You need to understand how to use colors. You need to understand how to use white space. And a good way to understand those things would be to pick up a design style or a design guideline material, which is definitely material design. Or as of now, there are like many more. There is the IBM design guide. There is Apple has their own design guide, etc. Like picking up that basic improves your knowledge on what to do when you are using some of these design elements. That's like a good start, right? It's a very easy start. It's a very easy start. It's not something you have to overwhelm yourself about. You could just wake up every day, or yeah, you could basically pick up 2 components a day. You can pick buttons today, learn about buttons, learn how to use buttons, learn what not to do with buttons. Tomorrow you pick up shadow. You get the idea. Like you're moving very slowly, but you are learning very quickly, because when the day comes for you to use this knowledge, you know exactly what to do and you know how to do it very accurately. That is one thing. So don't overwhelm yourself. Don't pick up Blender and the first thing you want to achieve is a 3-story building or a man running, or you want to create an action movie on your first day of Blender. I don't advise that. I would rather say you learn how to create a box. In fact, that box that comes with Blender every time you open Blender, that should be your first work. Delete the box and figure out how to create a box. You'll most likely learn that in 2 minutes. Another thing you could learn is how to add colors to objects. That one too will take you 5 minutes. By the time you go over this circle over and over again,
Can you read this? Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
Wisdom, can you mute yourself, please?
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, so, you know, taking it gradually, taking the components by components, topic by topic is a better way to start, right? Let's say at the end of the week, after you've done this learning, then you can attempt a project. You would see how much you've actually learned. You will have grown so well. That is one way to learn. Now, secondly, is set a target. And please, this has two, it's like a coin, it has 2 sides to it. And the first is setting targets help you catch up very quickly. It helps you know when to walk, it helps you know when you are supposed to take a break, and it helps you recognize what success looks like. But while setting up your goals, while setting up a target, do not overestimate. Don't push yourself too hard. If I say I learned Blender in a month, it doesn't mean everyone will learn Blender in a month. right? Our speed of learning is definitely different, but I can always guarantee the efficiency, right? So you want to set your targets. A good target would be, I'm learning UI design or I'm learning product design. My first week, I want to be able to define and accurately use typography. Trust me, if you are a newbie in design or you've been in design for a while and you feel like your typography game is not there yet, this is a task for you. Set up a goal and say, at the end of the week, take a fresh new week, by the way. At the end of the week, I want to be able to define and accurately use types of any kind. Now, that is a very realistic goal because you are not designing, you are not setting a goal to create a full mobile application where you would use type in every different place and then you combine it with different things. Just knowing how to use type alone is pretty much important. And it's just a single element in the whole design thing. Now, that is a very realistic goal. Day one could be understanding how typography influences response, user response. The next day could be how typography influences brands. The next day could be the nitty-gritties of typography in terms of line height, letter spacing, what else? Kerning, contrast, width. That could be for a day. The fourth day could be on something else. The fifth day could be on you practicing, right? Using all that you've learned for the last 4 days and putting it into a single frame. You're going to have like two fonts, one at the top and at the bottom, a title and a body, and then use all that you've learned in the past on that particular one. By the end of 7 days, you will look at your typography game and you would appreciate yourself. And that is all you need to know. The next week, you pick up another goal, how to use pictures correctly in design. How pictures accentuate your design, how pictures ruin your designs, how to size pictures perfectly. Now, for those who are interested to know, the kind of design style I've been doing recently, that was exactly the way I learned. Now, for someone who has been designing for so long for me, I most likely should not be using that pattern, but I understand how learning in beats make you learn very quickly. That was how I did it. I started by doing typography. Then I learned how to use images correctly. Then I learned layout. And at the end of the day, I figured out how to design in ridiculous ways and it will still look very good. Because now I understand how each of those elements influences my design in general. So yeah, set goals, set targets, and set realistic targets. Now, the final way to learn quickly would be to learn in public. Of course, it's called build in public, but then I'll say learn in public. Now, learning in public does one thing. It makes you accountable. Now, you either join a community and declare your intention to learn, or you find an accountability partner that will definitely hold you accountable. Don't determine in your mind. Don't just determine in your mind that you want to learn and then start learning. On the long run, if you stop learning, nobody will hold you accountable to it. You'll probably even give yourself excuses to why you don't want to keep learning. But learn in public, right? Declare your intention to learn. It could be on social media, but most importantly, it should be within a community. Within a community of designers, or at least a group of your friends who are also designers, who will definitely question you on how much progress you've been making. Now, while learning in public, it is important that you do not overestimate. Trust me, I think point one and point two are very similar because it keeps reminding you that don't do beyond what you can actually do. Right? While building in public, don't be afraid to do little things. There was a time I posted a work of mine on Twitter once, and this person, well, I won't call the person a friend, but this particular person entered into the comment section. I was like, Ozenua, supposed to do this kind of thing. Like, he literally told me that this kind of design is not what someone like me should be posting. And I was like, oh, really? Why not? Why can't I learn from scratch and then share the little thing I've learned? Like, why can't I appreciate my little beginnings? The fact that I'm Ozenua doesn't mean everything I must post must be big. Nah, don't give me that. It's an unnecessary pressure. And I know a lot of people do not know how to handle pressure like that. You feel like when you do something small, it is just too small, and you won't be proud of it because it's too small. I remember uploading different things. I uploaded boxes, like 3D renders of literal boxes, 2 boxes stacked together. When I was just picking up Blender, I literally uploaded that on my Instagram. 2 stack of boxes, like 1 box, another box. I stacked them together, white color, no material, and I just uploaded it like that. And people will be like, Ozenua, everybody can do this now. But I know why I'm doing like that. I recognize that this is my first attempt. By the time I'm done learning, I will most likely be better than all of you. But right now, this is how far I have gone. This is my proof that I have learned something new today. Try to appreciate your little beginning. While you're learning in public, don't be eager to do that high and mighty thing. Don't be eager to break the wall of China on your first day at work. Don't be eager to break down a mountain on your first day at work. Appreciate your little beginning and build progressively. Yeah, so that's how to learn fast. Let's go to the next slide so I don't take too much time doing that. All right, next question. Next thing is how to intern. Now, there are several phases to this. I could tell you how to get a job as an intern. I could also tell you how to intern properly. So these are two different things. It is one thing to get a job, it's another thing to keep your job. Like I'm pretty sure those who are currently, if you're very much employed here, you definitely understand what I'm trying to say. As much as getting a job is important, my bro, my sis, keeping the job is twice as important. Now, let's start with how to intern, how to get an internship. Well, recently there's been, I know there was a time where employing interns was a struggle for many companies, but that challenge has reduced so well, and many organizations, many companies are now willing and open to taking interns. A good way to do that is to look for, first off, be valuable. Be valuable, be very valuable, be valuable and ambitious. And I'm going to explain very well right now. I tell people, well, it is the truth anyway. I tell people that I'm not the type that applies for jobs. I rarely do it. I rarely apply for jobs. When I'm looking for an opportunity, or when I want to get an opportunity, what I do is pretty simple. I go back to Figma, improve my skill, share my work. Simple. I just do that. Now, this is how you would know what I mean. Whenever you notice I'm not posting on social media, just know I've gotten a new job. That's a sneak peek. Whenever you know I'm not posting on social media, know I've gotten a new job. Like I've gotten what I'm looking for, so I'm taking a break. Well, anytime you see me uploading back to back on Figma or on Twitter or my social media, it simply means I'm looking out for a new opportunity. And at that time, you will most likely realize that my style of design is different. Because I want to be valuable. I want to increase my value as a person. As I'm developing my social skills, my soft skills, basically, I'm also improving on my hard skills, right? I want to be valuable. If I join a company, I want to be known for something. I want to have that particular skill that nobody has in the company. And that simply means I must be multifunctional, I must be creative, right? Rather than employ, I get my employers to come look for me by showing that I'm valuable, showing I'm creative, showing I have what it takes to be the best person in the team. And majority of the time, that's what many starters don't have. Of course, everybody knows that you are just starting Figma, so nobody's expecting you to be able to lead a team at that point in time. But what exactly can you do that should make me choose you? What is that one thing you are offering me that should make me choose you? Now, this has nothing to do with experience. Why? Because, of course, you are actually just starting out. You definitely don't have experience, but are you valuable? If I bring you to my team, what is that one thing I know you can do well, and I would have peace of mind assigning you to that task? And this is one question you should ask yourself. What is that one thing you can do well that you know the next person that can do it almost as well as you is most likely a senior designer? And trust me, it is possible. It is possible. It's just you learning. You just have to learn the thing, learn that one thing, and be good at it. That's all. But what is that one thing you know you can do very well? That the next person you can think of is not someone within your level at all. The person is not in your level. What is that one thing? The company where I work now, in total, we have 3 creative designers. Now, out of those 3 creative designers, one of them is the design lead, is the creative design lead, which simply means she's my boss. Now, the other 2 persons is myself and one brand designer. So it means of all the UI designers that we have in my company, in a company that has 20 designers, I am the only available creative designer who is a UI UX designer. Now, I was not a creative designer when I joined the company. I was an XR designer, XR UI UX designer when I joined the company. But right now, I am currently holding position for creative designer because I want to be valuable. There are already 20 UI UX designers. Why should I remain the same? Why should I remain in that caliber? Why can't I become a more valuable designer in the company? So what did I do? I improved my skill and I became valuable. You also can be that. It makes it easy for you to secure opportunities when you have value to offer. Even as an intern. The only reason why people don't get to go for interns is because what is the point of employing somebody and you, the employer, end up doing the job? You don't want that for yourself. So while you want to get an opportunity to intern, be ready to learn, improve your skill, own your skill, and make sure you're valuable. Now, that is it. Now, if you have all of that, you will definitely get opportunities. Now, you have gotten the opportunity. You are now in the company. How do you keep your job as an intern or as an employee? And that is where being ambitious comes in. Now, what does it mean to be ambitious? What does it mean to be ambitious? My first opportunity to intern was, of course, it was my IT. I was in 400 level as of the time, so I was doing IT as a student. I got into the company as a front-end developer. Now, while I was there for a total of 2 months, I knew that if I'm done with my IT, I want to secure a permanent employment in this company. I knew that I wanted a permanent employment. The amount of money I was getting as an intern was like it was 4 times lesser than the amount of money I spent going to the company and sustaining myself. So I was so much aiming for full-time employment. I got into the company, started working as a front-end developer. While at that company, I learned Flutter development, and I learned UI UX. So I perfected my skill as a UI UX designer right there within that 2 months that I got the job or that I got the internship. Now, my last few weeks within the company, my boss, my employer called me and was asking for my plans after the internship. And I told him, truth be told, as of where I was then, I really did not like school. And I told him what I wanted to do. I told him that once I'm out of the internship, I'll most likely improve my skill and start looking for, try to get opportunities. And it was like, would I be happy to take a full-time employment with the company? Of course. Oh, that was the plan for me anyways. And I accepted it. Now, I don't need anyone to tell me how and why I got a job. It was pretty obvious. I came in just as a front-end developer. I was living as a mobile app developer, a UI UX designer, and a front-end developer. I had value to offer. And all of this value I was able to pursue and get because I was ambitious. Now, that is one missing trait in most of the people I've actually come across lately who are actually designers. Many people just want to work, or many just want to have it in their bio that they are employed. Not many people are ambitious. And it's very evident in how you work. It is evident in how you address address problem or address challenges. Imagine you've been given an opportunity and you are told to do something. You are given a task to do, and you don't do it until the last day. Nah, come on, that's bad habits, right? You're given a task to do. You don't address it the first day. You are not asking questions. You are not sending DMs. You are not dropping updates, and you wait till the last day to do it. That's not so good. That's like bad habit already. That's like a red flag. Nobody wants to employ such a person. Or you are an intern and you only make action when you are told what to do. Very bad habits. Now, I know it's easy to say, this is where the excuses become valid. It's easy to say, oh, I'm an intern. I don't know what to do. The reason why I'm here is to learn what to do. No, that as much as that sounds like a good excuse, it really isn't, because you can always learn. You can learn to do the right thing. You can learn to be better. You can also always ask questions, right? Once you are assigned a task, if you have difficulties, right on the spot, right on the call, ask questions. Show that you want to help. Show that you want to be a part of whatever you are given to do. Show that you want to really contribute. Now, when you begin to show these traits, everybody would appreciate you. Now, it's as simple, right? I work with a lot of people right now. I'm managing a few designers right now. And although I am not the type, now I am an impatient person, so it may make sense if I don't always want to answer questions, but it is way better than somebody that is not talking. Nah, it is way better. It is way better you trouble me with questions than you not talking and you messing up. Because eventually I'll be like, okay, let's set up a call. Let's set up a call, gather all your questions, I will answer all at once. Than someone who is not asking questions and then at the end of the day does rubbish. I would always go for the person that disturbs my life than the one that doesn't do anything and then messes up the project. Be ambitious. Show that you want to do more than just have a title. All right. Next up is how to earn. All right. As you can see again, I say you are valuable, be valuable. And I won't spend so long on this. I won't really spend time explaining this too much because money is attached to value. It's as simple as that. If you are valuable, people will pay for your time. Now, of course, the amount of money you take may now matter. Now, that's a different thing entirely. You being able to negotiate how much you want to take for being valuable is completely different. But then if you want to earn money, people have to see the need to pay you for it. Thank God for the amount of experience I have working with people. I've had situations where people offer to work for me for free, work with me for free, but the human in me would not agree to do it for free because of how much value they are giving. My current developer, Easy, I call him Easy, Ganyu Idris, currently has 2 awards site of the day in his portfolio, meaning he has worked on 2 projects that has won award site of the day on awards. He is that high up in creativity, but he always offers to work with me for free. Now, he is too much of a value that even if he would not ask me for money, I can't just be fine knowing that someone is offering this much value and I'm not paying him for it. It's as simple as that. But if he were to be someone who is not really showing that much value, it would be like I'm doing him a favor by even giving him work to do. If you're not valuable, people will consider it favor for even giving you something to work on. But if you have something good to offer, if you are valuable, people would naturally want to pay you to get your time. People want to pay you for you to be a part of their project. In fact, some people will pay you not to even work. They'll pay you just to have your name around their brand. It's as simple as that. I'm sure you guys have seen most of these skit makers where they, make adverts for brands. Now it's because of the value, right? It's because of the value they are offering. Like brands are willing to pay them just for them to say 2 lines, just to advertise the brand itself. It's as simple as that. If you are not valuable, nobody will consider doing that. They'll rather seek a favor to even give you the job and not pay you than the other. So yeah, if you're valuable, you definitely earn money. So the more value you can attach to yourself, the more money you will earn. So I guess the question should be, how can you become valuable? As I stated earlier, you need to own your skill. You need to own your skill, your art skills, your soft skills. Now, not so many people would become an awesome designer. Not so many people will be the best designers. But while you recognize your weaknesses, you also need to capitalize on your strengths. For some designers, what they can do is talk. They can convince both the users and the clients. Users are always right. But I have seen people who can talk so well that even the users will agree they are wrong. If that is your skill, own your skill, be good at it, and you will be paid to do just that. Pretty simple. And finally, how to boss like a pro. All right, so basically this simply is how to like move from beginner to pro level, how to start from 0 to hero, how to go from beginner, junior to senior. And if you see what's on the tagline, I say be alive and lead. Now, for you to be a senior, for you to be called a boss, for you to become a senior designer, senior creative, the most important skill set is your ability to, first and foremost, be alive and your ability to lead. So what does being alive mean? Being alive simply means you are present, you are available, you are reachable. People can rely on you because you are alive. Of course, if you're dead, nobody cares anymore. Maybe a few people will cry, day one, day two, and many other persons will, move on with their lives. Don't be a dead person in a company where nobody even know you exist. The day you are at work, nobody knows. The day you are not at work, nobody knows. Now, that shouldn't be. You want to be alive. You want to be present. Being present means you are always contributing. Now, you may not be the type that talks, but do you contribute? Now, let me make it clear. Some people shine in the meetings, right? In the stand-ups, that's their time to shine. But for others, is in their ability to do, ability to always give results. You may be in that category, but for you to get to that pro level, that senior level, you must have the innate ability to always be present, always show up. If conversations are going on, make sure you are available to put your word out there. If problems are being talked about, be ready to present a solution. Now, I'm not the type that likes to talk in meetings, but I have my way of being alive. I like to, of course, I know how to create solutions. So many times when problem is being discussed, I'm thinking, how do I solve this problem? Now, when everybody go to their different spaces to work, I go tackle the problem and I document my process. So that way, when I'm done and I'm sure it works, I share that result with everybody and everybody can read by themselves. Means I still don't have to talk, but have I shown up? Have I solved the problem? Have I contributed? Yes. Now, the second one is your ability to lead. Now, leaders would always be beginners all the time. Like I've seen cases where you yourself must have seen cases where the senior designer in your company does not know how to design shit, but he's still the senior. Means he earns more than the most creative person. If the most creative person is not the senior designer, is in his ability to lead. Because leadership is a different thing entirely. Is your creativity does not affect your leadership. If you're a leader, you're a leader. And of course, you can always learn to be a leader. Always learn. You can always learn to be a leader. Being a leader means you can drive people to reason with you. You can convince people to think the way you think. You can help people to grow. As much as you are trying to grow yourself, you can also help people to grow. You can become an example. You can become a role model. You can become someone that helps people figure out difficult situations. Now, these are actual skills that can be learned. So if you want to boss like a pro, if you want to get to that pro level, if you want to move from beginner to senior, that is one thing you want to have in the back of your mind. Now, so that this doesn't become confusing, I'm not talking about improving your design skill. That is something completely different. You can be the most creative person in the room, but you will still be regarded as a designer if you don't have those habits that make you a leading designer. Improving your skill is a completely different thing when it comes to design. Trust me, you can still be a junior designer. Now, when I say junior, I mean you can spend the next 6 months or your first 6 months as a designer owning your skill to perfection. You've only done 6 months, so you are still like, in fact, you are still a beginner designer, but then you know so much that you can actually rival a senior designer. But what the reason why you're not yet a senior is definitely because you are yet to hone those soft skills that position you as a senior designer. Once you are able to hone those skills, you're able to become responsible, valuable, trustworthy. You have the ability to lead, convince people, drive people. You definitely deserve the role as a senior designer because you already have all it takes to be a senior. You get me? So, yeah, I said I wouldn't take time, but I took forever. Yeah, I literally took the entire time. So, yeah, that's all I have to share with you guys today. I think I can take questions now. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for please I'd like you to use the reaction button right now, please. Please celebrate Oluwatobi. Please celebrate him. Thank you so much for so much. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, it's a lot of truth that he's spitting out there. I mean, gently spitting out the truth. I've seen a lot of person get passionate when they are talking truth. I mean, personally, when I start to talk the truth, I start to raise my voice and start to, emphasize things. But I mean, it's just cool, calm, and collected, and then those points were coming in like that. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. All right, I mean, this is time to take questions, guys. Many things have been said: how to learn, how to intern, how to earn. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to do too much. Be valuable, be ambitious. What is that one thing that you can do and do well? How to lead, how to be the boss, how to be alive. I mean, many things have been said, but I mean, if you have questions right now, please let's have your questions in the next 15 minutes so that we can round this up off rather. We started 10 minutes later than the time. All right. Yes, you can drop questions in the comments in the permit me to use the comment section, right? It's supposed to be income messages, but then please you can drop it there. And I can see someone raising up. Okay, Precious is raising up his hand. All right, you can go on, Precious, please. I'm sure that you can unmute. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
please.
Thank you so much, Ozenua. Really appreciate you coming to speak tonight. I've always appreciated your work, and I've always appreciated everything you do on Twitter and everything. Thank you so much. Yeah. While you were talking, I went through your resume, and I found it very interesting. Well done. I just want to ask quickly. I see that. Okay, I've been designing for more than a year now. I think about 16 or 15 months now. Yeah. And I've had my hand on a number of work. I just want to ask, how can one navigate the path of getting remote jobs outside of Nigeria? Yeah, I feel that's one big thing everybody always wants to do nowadays, right? Uh, just want you to your candid opinion, your candid advice about that, and if it's not something I should be looking forward to right now, just give me your candid or give us in that sense your candid advice on that. Thank you.
I. So all right. I will try not to hype you up too much with my response because believe me, it's actually pretty difficult. Nonetheless, like I have to admit that it's actually pretty difficult to do that. But nonetheless, there are a few things you can do. There's an echo. I think it's coming from you, Tope. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I just made now.
All right, thank you. Yeah, there are a few things you can do, pretty unconventional, because the conventional means gets sticky by the day, it keeps getting difficult by the day. And of course, the conventional means for you to apply for the job, the traditional way, but that is really getting sticky. So there are a few unconventional ways that I can share with you. Of course, you need to experiment with them and see if it works. It doesn't have is it fail proof now? Yeah, it's not fail proof, but it should get you closer to something. And one thing you can do is definitely use your LinkedIn as a place to start. Use your LinkedIn as a place to start. And what you should consider doing is whenever you come across a job opportunity, you want to make sure you look into the company. Try to see if you can. Now, this is something that will take a time. It will take time. It's not something you do in one day, right? It's something you plan for. It's something you become intentional about. But I've seen it work a couple of times for some people. And like very recently, when you come across a job opportunity, you want to take time to get familiar with the company. You also want to get familiar with people inside of the company, right? So if you see a job opportunity for designers, you want to look into the company. Does this company have designers? Connect with them. See if you can establish communication with a couple of people, right? Get to learn about the company from them. Now, this is what happens. When you do that, you get to know those things that make the company pretty unique. You also plant your presence within the company. Now, two people from the same company now recognize you, they know you. After that, you want to reach out to a recruiting manager or someone who is in charge of recruiting for that same company. Now, it could be a recruiter or it could be like the CTO, the CEO, or someone high up, someone who has the ability to actually employ you, bring you directly into the company. After you must have established connection with people, employees of the company, you want to reach out to someone within that high authority. Now, your method should be simple. You should talk about your interest. You should talk about your interest of the company as though you've actually worked there before. Now, you would only get that much creative when you have heard from the mouth of people who are there, right? You talk about the company, you talk about what you've heard, and you mention the names of these people casually, right? It'd be like, I have seen what you guys do. Your culture is something that resonates with mine. The product you're working on is something I have passion for. A couple of days back when I was talking with this person, I got to share my insight on the product. So you mention it casually as though you are a friend of the company. By the time you're done with that, just declare your interest, right? Or of course, that's what you're doing anyway. You declare your interest. Now, this is where God has to have your back. Like if God has your back big time, you would definitely, it will lead to something. So of course, it has to start with, something you plan. It has to be something you plan for. You don't just do it by waking up one morning and try to finish the process within a day. It's something you have to be intentional about. And you, of course, you can do several companies at a time. You don't know which one will work first. But it's pretty unconventional, but it works. It should work. It can work. Now, another one is optimizing the opportunity you have on ADP lists. Now, let me tell you why that is also unconventional. A friend of mine used these means to get a job, and is currently in the UK. He was employed and he got shipped to the UK using this method. He got a mentee on ADP lists, and from his constant conversation with this person, the person got so used to him, and there was an opening in the company of the mentor, and the mentor offered him while they were having a casual conversation, another casual conversation on ADP list. So you get the idea. Like, you want to look for someone who is like IHOP also on ADP list. The beautiful thing is that ADP list, you have access to almost anybody. So far, they are mentors. You have access to them. You don't have to wait for them to reply to you. So far, you schedule a meeting. They're almost like that day would come and the meeting will happen, right? You introduce yourself. You talk about your passion. Talk about yourself. At the end of the call, ask them if you can schedule another meeting. Schedule it. Become a friend. Become somebody they are used to. They can pronounce your name very well, your Nigerian name. They can call it without making a mistake. Like, but I'm pretty sure that you can see that this is not something that happens in a short time. It's something you plan for. It's something you get very intentional about. It becomes a journey. But it definitely can be fruitful. You get me? Like, you get so familiar with some of these people, you can ask them for recommendations, or you can ask them if there are openings, right? And yeah, one of those two may work for you. But if you want to go the traditional route of applying for jobs, man, that is extremely competitive. You know, if God has your back, it will be very easy nonetheless, but then it's still competitive nonetheless. And you have to do interview like 4. But this one, you probably will, if CEO hears you, nobody will do interview for you now. They'll just call hiring manager to give you the job. You get that kind of thing. Yeah, that's it.
All right, beautiful. I mean, that's really really nice. I was gonna add something else. I mean, this thing that go up on LinkedIn or Twitter, how that people apply for 1,000. I mean, 1,000. I mean, do 1,000 applications. I'd always thought about this and felt, I mean, where do you guys get this energy from? Because it's just, I mean, shooting into the air. You're not intentional about the application. I have an experience where, I mean, this exact thing that he's talking about, I connected with every person. Thank God for LinkedIn, right? I connected with everybody in that company. Started following up their posts. I mean, I was when I got on the call, it was like I've known them from Hidam, and actually, yeah, there's a lot of research that went into that. The things that they did in, I mean, 2-3 years ago, I started quoting those things, and I mean, it looks like I'd already entered into them. So, I mean, if there's anybody here who is been applying for 500 jobs, please, I think you should stop, because, well, maybe anyway, if you see result from it, it's also a very good one. Anyway, thank you so much, Oluwatobi. There's a question here in the comment. The person said, I don't know if you talked about it, but how can one master Zen presentation? Okay, I think you have actually talked about that, but do you want to say something about that?
Okay, so Mr. Joshua, how can one master design presentation? So if I get you well, you want to, oh, Mr. Tope, you may want to go mute your mic. Thank you. You want to learn to present your work better. Okay, so I have a post on Notion. I used to have it on Twitter, but it's down. I would, how do I get it to you? Okay, so I will look for the posts on my Notion. I would put it on my Twitter and pin it again. You can find it. It has like different snippets on how you can improve your presentation, your UI presentation. And it's pretty simple. It is actually very simple, nothing hard. Yeah, I think that will work. because I have to show you how to do that for you to figure it out. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, I just like you to copy and paste principles, right? Everyone, please. You mentioned earlier that if you want to master anything, just, put out that session, set out 7 days. I'll personally practice that. Put out 7 days, start to just take type one day. This is mastering design presentations, right? Just put mastering design presentations and then stay on it for 7 days, and you see that you can present your design better after the time that you have spent. Okay, if there are no more questions, I'd just like you guys to please appreciate him one more time for coming to speak to us tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate this. Thank you so much. Okay, somebody is raising up. Oh my God. Please, do you still have more time? Can I take this question? I need to confirm.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Steven, please, you can go on.
Okay, thank you. I thank you very much for this session. It was actually very, very great. And just a quick question. I want to know, based on your experience, what have you found out concerning case studies? Like, what is some kind of inference you've come to realize when it comes to case study and using it to get jobs?
Okay. Let me be very open in this conversation. So there are some expected things for people to do that for me, I'm not the B. It's not my biggest thing to do. Believe me, take it as I say. I'm not a fan of case studies here. And I've actually never gotten a job because I wrote a case study. Morally, of course, if you were here from the beginning of the call, you would understand why. I do have my own means, my own approach to doing these things. But on why case studies are important, I think it is more important for you as a designer to learn to write proper case studies. Now, I don't write case studies for the presentation's sake. I write case studies to understand and to create processes, to understand processes that people can replicate or people can look into and understand what I'm doing. And I mentioned that earlier, or I mentioned it in a tweet I posted recently. And what I said was, whenever you're working on a new project, it is very important. It is very important that you learn to document so that when you are talking about the project or you are presenting the project to other designers in your team or you are doing a team presentation, you will be able to express yourself well enough. Now, yeah, during the call also, I did say that. I also mentioned how that I may not be the best person to talk in the meeting, but when I have a problem to tackle, what I do is go on my Figma, start working on the project, and then document my entire process start to finish. Eventually, that is what happens in a case study as well, right? But case study would help you 100% if you are asked in an interview to present your work. Rather than show them UI, every recruiter is more important, or every technical recruiter is more important in seeing your process. Now, you won't be able to write a good case study, no matter how beautiful it is, if you are not the type that enjoys documenting your work and writing down your thought process. Now, my answer may be way far from what you expect me to say, but at least I can advise you to see case studies from a very different perspective. Not that always has to be fancy looking thing, but something that helps you express your thought process, express your decision-making process, and express your ideas whenever you're working on projects. They would always come in handy when you get the opportunity to talk to a technical recruiter on your work process. Everybody that does interviews with designers would ask, can you take me through your design process? And the only way that you'll be able to do that well is by showing them a documentation of a project you've done before. In other words, a case study you've done before in the past, or a case study you've done in the past. Yeah. You get me?
Yeah, you answered my answer very, very on point.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. I think that's the last question we're taking tonight. I would like to. Somebody else is putting up their hand. Is if you are raising up your hand, please you can unmute to speak now. I'd really like us to run this off. Okay, I don't think anybody is.
Sorry, I think I forgot to put down my hand. Sorry about that.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. All right, thank you everyone for coming. All right, please. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Please, just for those who don't know, I like Ozenua to please tell us how we can, how you can connect with him on social media. You can get access to his resources and all that. I mean, that's the last thing he will be doing tonight. Please, can you do that too? All right.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so if you want to reach me, I would say use Twitter. My Twitter handle is Ozenua_Rune. Yeah, I dropped a link on the chat that can help you find me pretty quickly on Twitter. My LinkedIn is Ozenua Oluwatobi. I would share a link to that as well so that that process can be easy. Yeah. Yeah. So if you message me on LinkedIn, I'll most likely reply to your messages. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh, beautiful. The links are dropping right now. All right. So this webinar is brought to you by the Nexa. All right. I earlier introduced the Nexa. The Nexa is a company that wants to serve businesses, brands, people, and products, and with new experiences. And the reason why this is put up is because one of the pillars that we serve is people, and we're interested in, investing in people's career and their development and all that. That's why we put all of this together. If you want to stay up to date with coming webinars, I mean, industry experts are going to be coming to speak, and you can always enjoy this kind of webinar for free. Please follow us on all social media on Instagram. It is this is Nexa, and on Twitter it is the same. LinkedIn, you can find us at the Nexa, all right, and you can also find us on where else? I mean, you can check the website out. The website is thenexa.co. All right, you can. I'm dropping that right now, so that you can always just stay up to date with what we have to offer. And in the at the cost of speaking, you mentioned the fact that there are people who actually may not be able to learn on their own. I mean, the fact that the pace at which you learn is quite different from every other person. You really need, maybe a structured community or a structured kind of learning for you to be able to learn. There is an accelerator program that I put together for, beginners, product design beginners, and you can learn more about that at the nexa.co/accelerator. I mean, it is basically designed to help you launch and grow your product design career. All right, that will be all. Once again, my name is Tope Onigbinde, and I'm a product manager at Nexa. Right, thank you everyone for coming on this call. Thank you, Zena, one more time, and I hope that maybe next time when we call upon you, you'll be able to, find time out to also be part of giving value to people. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you very much for the invite as well. It's a pleasure being
You're
here.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Tosin. Thank you, Abiola. Thank you, Abiyo Samuel. Thank you, Ashifa Jalil. This is just shout out to everyone. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Favor. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Precious. Smart user, Steven. Right. Thank you, everyone. And please have a good night, everyone. Bye.